In recent decades, the Nigerian Church has witnessed tremendous growth and global visibility. Massive church buildings have sprang up in our cities in the last 5 years, and our influence stretches beyond national borders. From Lagos to Abuja, Port Harcourt to Enugu, the urban centers of Nigeria have interestingly become spiritual hubs buzzing with crusades, conferences, revivals, and weekly gatherings of tens of thousands. Yet, even in the midst of this undeniable progress we have made as a people, there still lies a very obvious neglect that is currently threatening the very core of the Great Commission mandate, which is the rural communities of Nigeria. We have seen the gospel thriving in our cities, but it is unfortunately not penetrating our villages. While we celebrate our visibility on global platforms, many Nigerians in remote communities still live and die without ever hearing the gospel. Please, don't misunderstand me and try and take time to reflect. I am not saying that the cities don't need continued missionary work. Of course they do. Our cities are very much filled with moral decadence and shifting worldviews. However, this realities, the imbalance of attention and investment between urban and rural missions has become deeply problematic, whereby the cities are overserved while the villages remain largely unreached. There are thousands of towns and villages across Nigeria where the gospel has barely been preached. In some cases, churches once planted have long been abandoned due to lack of follow-up, discipleship, or resources. In others, syncretism has replaced true Christian doctrine, and traditional religion remains dominant. Many of these communities are isolated by geography, riverine, mountainous, or forested, and are easily ignored due to logistical challenges. Yet their souls are just as valuable as those sitting in air-conditioned auditoriums on Sunday mornings. In these communities, children grow without ever owning a Bible, without ever meeting a missionary, or hearing the name of Jesus beyond a passing mention on a radio station. Witchcraft, idolatry, and fear govern their worldview. Beloved, who will go to them? The Nigerian Church must arise and take responsibility for rural missions. It is not the work of foreign missionaries. We must become responsible for our brethren. The call to go into all the world includes our own backyard, our villages, our tribal communities, our hidden places, and this is not optional. It is obedience to Christ's command. Missions is not about where it is convenient to go. It is about where we are needed most. If we do not send trained, passionate, and supported missionaries into these areas, we have failed in our duty as church. The imbalance we currently see reflects our preference for comfort, visibility, and influence. Meanwhile, rural ministry offers none of these. There are no cameras in the bush. There are no offerings in villages. There are no social media highlights in remote communities. But there are precious souls who are waiting for the light of Christ. Churches must begin to shift resources such as people, prayers, and finances towards rural missions. Urban churches should adopt rural communities for outreach and intentional and biblical church planting. Bible colleges and mission training centers must begin to prepare students specifically for the challenges of rural missions, like language barriers, cultural sensitivity, perseverance, and long-term discipleship. Many who desire to go are hindered by lack of support. The Nigerian Church must raise and sustain full-time missionaries for our own rural regions. That was and still is how foreign missionaries who brought the gospel to us were heavily funded, and they were able to do the work without distractions. Our youth fellowships, campus fellowships, and Christian student unions must be challenged to see rural missions as a noble and urgent calling and not a punishment or last resort. Denominations and ministries must work together to target unreached areas instead of duplicating work in already saturated places. The cost of our delay is eternal. Rural communities are not less important. If anything, they are the front lines of spiritual warfare in Nigeria today. As development slowly touches them and technology trickles in, there is a short window of time to plant the gospel before the world's philosophies flood in unchallenged. The call is urgent. The responsibility is ours. If the Nigerian Church does not arise now to the cry of our rural communities, we will have failed not just in strategy, but in love. God is not calling only the West to Africa anymore. He is calling Nigeria to Nigeria. The light that shines the farthest must shine the brightest at home. May we not build towers in the cities while our villages lie in ruins. May we not gather crowds while the sheep scatter in the wilderness. Let the Nigerian Church arise and go. May the Lord help us. Remember, mission is possible. Adopt a missionary today. Let's collectively invade the villages for Jesus Christ. I'm sure you have been blessed by this broadcast. Kindly follow us in all our social media platforms. Like and share our post in all our social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube. Evangelist John Emmanuel. WhatsApp and Telegram +234 805 693 1220. Email johndixon5000@gmail.com. Jesus Christ is Lord.